everyone, and welcome back to the painting channel. I'm going to do a very quick little oil study for you, just a little sunset. I love painting such things, and just a little bit of silhouette foreground, nothing much. I'm going to see how quickly I can do it, and hopefully you can enjoy this on the YouTube as a real time. So without further ado, let's see what happens. Anyway, I've got my colours set out, as you can see, and it's my normal palette, which is going to be my two blues. In fact, what I do need to do is actually add my other blue in, which will be my ultramarine blue. So that hasn't actually been on my palette from the last time, so I'm going to put a bit of that out now. And I don't think I need anything else, just that. So I got a bit of rag in tow, and I'm going to crack on. Trusty glasses on so I can see what I'm painting, and as usual I've pre-colored the pre-tinted my board. This is actually a real gesso board, that's why it looks the way it does. It absorbs the color in, as I've explained on another video, but more of that about that another time. But for now, let's just get in and let's start drawing. I will draw with just this small brush, and it's a small round brush. It's been hammered basically. It's not very good state, and I'm going to draw in umber, and I'm just going to put a little bit of mix to that, and just enough to make the paint move forward. I'm looking at the reference. It's not very much detail, and I'm going to put a very low horizon line in, and I'm not going to do much more than that. Actually, it doesn't need an awful lot. So I'm just going to put in one or two mix in there with shapes and forms that are trees and bits of stuff in the field. Just stuff that you can understand and see, and the brain will tell you it's a tree or a shrub or something of that nature. Now, I'm using liquid, and really on this type of surface is not the best, because liquid has a tendency to make the paint slide a bit more, which is fine on standard acrylic gessos, but this is a little smoother and it does tend to slide a bit more, but that's not a problem. Let's go in with some ultramarine blue, and I'm going to use some zinc white, and I've covered this discussion in another video about zinc white. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I have said that over 30 odd years as a professional, 35 years or more as a professional, and all my time before that using zinc white, I've never had a client yet ring me up and say that the paint's cracking. So I will carry on using it. I've got no problem with it. I use a very good brand from Michael Harding, and so I'm really sort of not too worried about that. I'm going to add a little bit of magenta into the side of that, and a bit of cobalt too, actually, just to take the color away from the total blueness or violetness of it. And there's several ways you can play around with that. So I'm just going to put in a fairly quick mix and darken that up a little bit. Take some of that umber into it actually while it's on the palette. That won't be missed at all. I'm trying to make this as fast as I can for you to enjoy. And I'm going to talk a little bit as I go and ramble on, as I inevitably do. And I understand from some of the previous comments that my ramblings are okay. So I'm going to ramble on. But there you go. It's all about the painting, isn't it? So this I did an oil earlier today, which I did film, and I thought it would be nice to put out on YouTube. Well, it will come out on YouTube, but it won't come out as a real time. I had so many issues in filming it, with batteries stopping, something else I forgot to turn on. It just went a bit haywire. So there are so many bits of footage that I've got to edit through, cut out, two cameras to splice and play around with. So yeah, it may come out as one of my patrons because it's going to take a lot of time to edit and do. So I thought that I would carry on this evening and carry on filming and do another little study that hopefully will be fast enough to come out onto YouTube and for you to enjoy. So that's what I'm endeavouring to do. It's a small panel, and I'll describe the panel as I'm painting, if that's okay. I'm just going to put a nice big sweep up through there. And it is just a small panel. I think this is a 8x6 panel, something of that nature. It's not too big. And yeah, what was I saying? This surface. The surface is on 2.4mm MDF. And if you're, I don't know what you can get in the States or other places around the world, but in England, if you go to a picture framing supplying company, and there are lots about, then they will inevitably do 2.4 or 3mm MDF. 2.4 is probably the better one. And you can gesso that with normal gesso, what I call acrylic gesso, the stuff that you can buy a litre at a time for about £21, something of that nature for a decent one. There are many brands out there, and it's a simple case of, I'm going to add a little bit more red into this, sorry, digress. It's a simply case of 2 or 3 coats with a very light sand between, and you created a lovely barrier which you can paint oil or acrylic on. Indeed, if you want to, you can put a little bit of pumice powder and stuff into it and create a lovely pastel surface too, which I do quite often. So I should be working in a bigger brush. I do tell my students to pick up a bigger brush, and here's me, I'm not doing that. I just picked up a little bit of too much blue in this. I'm going to stick that down there for later. Not a problem. And I'm going to push on. There's some lovely blues and reds happening in this sky, and I want to try and bring those out for you during the course of this painting. But one colour I do like, and that is my Phthalo Blue. I don't often use it, but for certain evening skies, sunrises, sunsets, that lovely pure blue with some titanium white in, or indeed zinc white, really does work very nicely. I'm just going to pump 1 or 2 very light areas into this sky so that it really makes these purple clouds pop. And that's the idea. Little fewer marks over this side, just the odd little tap, almost like little sky holes in trees that we paint. And that actually could get a little yellower and lighter as it comes down towards the sun. So any sort of so far down that the sky is changing, and it's becoming a little more greenier blue, a little less obvious that it's blue. Make that happen with a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow. Often I use a bit of a peachy colour too, which is sort of lemon yellow and cadmium red light with some white, and that really does work. So I'm just adding some of this in now so you can see the sky colours through the clouds. I'm holding on to this board because I said in another video that I'm not actually used to painting oils or acrylics on the flat. I normally stand at an easel and paint in a much more upright position, and so this is quite strange or alien for me to paint in this way, unless of course it was a watercolor, which is probably the way I normally paint a watercolor. Anyway, I digress, and I will digress quite a bit in this video. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to add a lot more yellow warmth coming through this sky as it comes down. It's the end of the day. The sun is almost dipped out of view. Actually, this is a little area I've painted many times because it's actually at the end of my back garden. So I often paint it, and I think it's just a delightful scene across the farmlands of the Romney Marshes out across some of the small farms that exist at that point. In fact, there is a small building that can't quite see it in this video, but it is there. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of put this one very quickly together to give you some idea on YouTube as opposed to Patreon. So more warmth, and I'm sort of getting that lovely bit of magenta going up in this back corner. I will temper that, don't worry. Right. It's very, very warm. It's very, very beautiful down through here, glowing with this beautiful red colour. Don't worry that it's eating over some of these bits of trees. They were just there to put there to give me some sort of reference moving forward in the painting. And they can be re-established. And the nice thing about using this pure gesso surface, which when I say that, I mean it's rabbit skin glue and whiting. Lots of people ask me about the rabbit skin glue. It's not actually rabbit skins. We do not lose tons of rabbits to making this glue. I just want to put that there straight away. I think it's to do with the leather industry. I'm not too sure. And I'm sure maybe somebody out there will comment and let me know exactly. But I think it's to do with sort of parts of the leather industry that gets discarded and gets used for this purpose. I'm not, don't quote me, but it's certainly nothing to do with rabbits. It may have been once, but not now. We're in modern days. I digress. Anyway, I'm trying to get this quickly sorted. Lots of beautiful colours, just pushing them into place. Really bright reds going in that will form right around the sun. That was just a short pause because the battery ran out in the camera that's filming the painting. It happens. One of those things. It's all sorted now and I'm moving on. So where was I? Yes, I was warming this area up with some real broad marked colours just to really excite the sky. Lots of lovely oranges from my colours, giving that some real lovely fire as this sky moves away. It's going to get a bit dirty, a little bit grubby in mixing the colour up through here. That's on purpose because what I want is to excite the under part of the cloud further up. So I'm going to come on and bring that all the way up through here. I'm just going to cool that down through there. And marry these two together just a little bit. A little bit more blue to come into the red just there. Another thing about working flat like this with long handled brushes, very hard. I'm quite happy when I paint towards the end of the brush, but when you're so close to the work, it's extremely hard to keep a control on that. So another reason for standing up. Anyway, I'm not standing up, I'm painting it this way, and that's it. So now I'm going to put in some more blue, more ultramarine blue, and some more magenta, maybe some cobalt in there too. I keep running back to cobalt. It is actually my most favourite blue of all. I love cobalt, and together with all of its colourful friends, it makes some really exciting colours. Anyway, I was rambling and I don't want to disappoint, so I'm going to ramble on. Okay, or not. Just going to lighten up some of this violet a little bit and get it to somewhere where it needs to be moving forward. And there's quite a lot of red in there. It's picking up all those beautiful warm tones from the sky or the sun as it descends lower and lower and lower. And I need to bear that in mind, but I still need to keep that contrast going. If I lose it, then the whole painting is pretty much doomed to not obscurity, not the word I was looking for. It's doomed to being average, and none of us really want to paint an average painting. We all would like to think that when we set out painting something, we paint it to the best of our ability and that the painting will stand for something when it's finished. It doesn't want to be mundane, it doesn't want to be average. So often though, they become average, and I think that's partly because we expect so much from our work, especially when we're setting out and we're learning as students. You know, and don't get me wrong, I've been painting professionally since 1986, and pretty much all my life before that I've been painting as an amateur, and I think we always expect so much more in our heads when we start a painting, and we can so beat ourselves up when at the end of it hasn't happened. And I find that sad, really, and it's annoying for people because, you know, no one wants that. Anyway, I said I would ramble. I apologise. I'm just having fun. One of the things that I do love to do is to teach people, and I've been teaching, so I picked up the wrong blue then. I've been teaching pretty much for 20 plus years, and first off it was things like art shows and demos, and then I was asked by big art companies, Liquitex, Staedtler, others, to do demonstrations for them at major events, and I was doing those. I really enjoyed those, actually. They were a lot of fun. And like all things, they change or come to an end, or policies change, or the shows end. And but things like that taught me to talk to people, taught me to express and be able to lecture on painting, and that sort of went into doing demonstrations for art societies and art groups all over the place. And I carried that on for many, many years, and then I started doing one or two teaching things myself, and then later on, when I got my own gallery locally in Hythe to where I live, the teaching became very much a big thing, and I've been teaching 4 classes a week to up to 12 students at time each class, and I cut that down a few years ago just to 8 students a class. It just got a bit too much, and the thing is that I really do enjoy that. But then a little while ago I decided that, you know, I really would love to reach out to so many more people, and the only way I could do that was to film it. Now I already had a YouTube channel, joke, YouTube channel. I'd had one for 8 years, I think, and I think I had, I don't know, about 80 subscribers to that point, and very few videos. And I didn't bother with it because I thought no one ever looks at it. Well, when you think about it, why would anyone look at it if it's everything on there is old hat or been put on by another company who filmed me? So I decided to resurrect my YouTube channel. Little history lesson, sorry. And I'm enjoying the painting, by the way. I will get this painted. I decided to resurrect it because I felt that the only way to reach more people was to video what I do here and get that out to more people to see and view. And so my channel, in a sense, was reborn. And I like that idea, and I decided that I would do one video a week as a minimum and see how it went. Now at that time I knew nothing about Patreon. I was just merely trying to get videos out to people so that I could actually reach more people and teach more people and help more people. And so that's really what I was up to, and that's all I was up to. And I found that the way I paint, many of my paintings go on way over 10, 15, 20 minutes. And a lot of the videos that you see on how to produce YouTube videos tell you to sort of suggest to you that you keep them short and sweet, and many were doing time lapses and stuff. So I thought, well, maybe that's the way I should go. But then what do I do with all these videos that are an hour long or 45 minutes long or something? This is going to be 45 minutes before I finish if I keep rambling on. But you know, what do I do with all those? And then someone suggested to me, do Patreon. Now I didn't know what Patreon was at all. In fact, I do have a second YouTube channel, but it's nothing to do with art. It's actually a model railway channel, which is my absolute hobby and love. And so there you go. There's a little admission to everybody. I love to do model railways, and I do have one. And I have a nice YouTube channel that backs that up. And it was actually some people on there that do Patreon on there that suggested, why don't I do Patreon for my art? Hadn't heard about it, hadn't thought about it until I looked into it. And then I thought, you know, this is a perfect vehicle that I can actually create more art or more tutorials that are longer, more detailed, and that I can reach other people over time. I'm not expecting it to set alight the world in 5 minutes. These things take a little bit of time to build. So I then created my Patreon page a few months ago. There's only a few patrons on it at the moment, and hopefully in time people will see it and they will enjoy it and they will grow. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't cost a lot to become a patron. It only costs, I think, about a cup of coffee, $5 a month or $10 a month, depending on the level you get involved with. But from that point of view, I was able then to put in a lot more content. And although it's both this channel and the Patreon channel are very, very young, when you consider that some of you guys out there that do painting tutorials have got 30,000, 40,000 subscribers. They've got 300,000. In fact, one young lady's got nearly 750,000 subscribers, which is outstanding. It's outrageously crazy. And I think, take my hat off to all of you people that been doing this for several years and week in, week out, putting videos together. And since I started this back in June, honestly, people, it's crazy. It is relentless. It's film, edit, put it together, get it out there. Film, edit, put it together, get it out there. And it doesn't stop. And don't get me wrong, I'm not moaning. I love it. I find it a great challenge. And it's a weekly challenge. But for those of you who've been doing it and got so many subscribers, I really take my hat off to you. You've done tremendously well. And you continue to do tremendously well. And those of you who I've just sort of referred to will know, well, you probably won't even see the video. I'm sure you don't actually have the time to see other people's videos. But if you do, you know who you are. And yeah, congratulations on doing a fantastic job. Now, I am trying my best to not emulate, but follow in your footsteps, although a long way behind. 450, I think, very much close to 450 subscribers right now on this channel, and that's really come on only since June. And to that end, I really am excited about the prospect for the future, because it does tell me that at least 450 of you out there are interested in what I'm doing. And although not all 450 of you watch each video that comes out each week, I at least know that you have subscribed, and that's, I'm so grateful for that. But in time, I hope that many more of you will subscribe to the channel and become, in many ways, friends through the channel. I don't want to sort of make this sort of cheesy in a certain way, but I think art or artists generally are quite lonely. Not lonely people, that's really wrong. They're very sort of insular. We don't get, because we paint in our own studios half the time, we don't really get out and see too many people. We might see our friends, other artists at shows that we attend or even take part in. And that's fantastic, because, you know, it does get us out and get us seeing people out there. And I think that you know, we all too often forget that there is a world outside of our studio, and I firmly believe that my teaching over the years that I've been doing it really keeps me quite grounded in that regard, because I'm interacting with so many people each week, and I love that, because each and every one of them have become very good friends, and those who've been with me and moved on to their own artistic careers or whatever they've done, and I've created, that's the wrong word, but I've helped many people go on to show in shows, form societies and do other things, that I really am proud of some of those people and what they've achieved and what they've done moving on from coming with me in the first place. So I think that I've got a lot for that to be said. I really do enjoy that aspect of what I do, but it means to say that I have been quite, as I say, grounded in the fact that I do meet a lot of people on a weekly basis. Now I'm digressing, because I have really forgotten about this painting. I'm just painting this painting, and I should be painting this painting and tell you what I'm doing, but you can see the color mixes. I'm running them with this video, so you can see the mixes and we know what the colors are, and that's not a problem for you to follow. So I'm just talking, like it or not, I'm just talking. But you can always switch off if you don't like me talking. But yeah, sorry, I'm being a bit silly. Keeping your colours fresh. Don't overmix your colours when they're on the painting, because the more you mix, the more dull they become, because all they're trying to do is mix with the one next to them and the one next to them there. They're just going to become duller and duller and more even. So the contrast that you started with becomes less and less and less, and that's when your painting is at great risk of becoming mundane. Mundane? Boring. Average. Anyway, carrying on. Just trying to keep this nice and alive underneath the base of this cloud. A little bit of finger painting, never hurt anybody. There we go. It's fresh, it's different for me. I love painting away and just trying to create a different way of producing something of this nature, this lovely, beautiful sunset. And I'm going to put some violets in the base of this now. No, it's going to be lighter. Obviously, it's a lot lighter than the silhouette. And don't worry that I'm brushing a lot of that out. And that's just got a little bit corrupted there, so I can take that away and just start that again. That's the beauty of oil painting. You can't do that with watercolour so easy, but you can certainly do it with some oil colour. I wanted that nice, fresh, lovely sunsetty violet, but it's going up very quickly into some lighter colours. There's a bit of dirt in my brush. Let me get that out now. And a change of tissue wouldn't go on this either. So yes, back to where I was. Lovely transitions of light at the end of the day. Just beautiful. And all of these colours are fleeting. They are very transitory. They are there and gone. You know, by the time I've stood down my garden and I've seen this situation so many times over the years, and I'll paint it and I'll start painting and I'm full of vigour and full of big brushes and making big gestural movements, and then it's gone. And you know, it's changing all the time, and keeping up with it is a nightmare sometimes. It's really hard to do. So sometimes when you hear people talk about painting, they talk about artists creating a little shorthand, a little photographic memory. Now, I wasn't born, to my knowledge, with any photographic memory as such, but I know perfectly well what they're saying, because the more you observe, the more you look, the more you draw, the more you sketch in books, make notes, colour notes, even if it's just mental recollections or however you record information in that fashion, looking, seeing, you know, the more you do that, the more your brain and your hand and your eyes work together as a single unit or a single entity, and you start creating work that's so much fresher, so much easier to note down. But you make quicker statements, you make better judgments, you mix colours more intuitively, you make brush marks and put them down without really thinking about them. They just go down, and so it becomes a shorthand. It becomes your way of I'm trying to say, it's like a little notebook, you know, a visual notebook, and you're making statements born of intuition, born of experience, born of observation, born of knowledge and of skills, all coming together. And I think that's what really is what I was trying to get at, and that's what I was trying to say. I think that's what I was trying to say. I'll probably change it all soon. No, I'm being silly. I just feel that you can sometimes people can over state what you should be doing. They can overstate what is needed, and sometimes what's needed is just to get out there and do. And you know, if sometimes my students will sit there for ages procrastinating over doing something on their painting, or even starting a painting. And you know, when we actually analyse the reason, is that they don't think they can do it, or they don't have enough confidence, or they're not sure, or they're actually not sure about the subject that they're attempting to do. And sometimes when you say that I'm not sure about the subject matter, it's not a case that there's nothing probably wrong with the subject matter. It's just that you lack a little bit of confidence in achieving the subject matter. So anyway, with that said, it's just a case of not worrying about it and just having a go. At the end of the day, it's a bit of time, bit of paint, bit of paper or canvas or canvas board or whatever it is, and a bit of your time. What's to lose? You've got nothing to lose, and you've got actually everything to gain, and the gains can be memorable. Fantastic paintings resulting from the endeavour. So anyway, I'm sort of honing in on this and thinking that I'm getting close to the end. I'm probably not, but I think I am. So I'm just going to do one or two heavier marks with the violets, and little dark marks just to punch. They need to be a bit darker than that. So I'm going to come in with a lot of my blues and make this punchy. Now this is fresh out of a tube, this one, and I didn't squidge it about. Sometimes, you know, when you get a tube of paint that you start to squeeze it and you get a lot of oil come out, it's just where it's settled down And this is a large tube. It's been in a drawer for several years and I just needed to work it. I forgot to do that, so I shall remember that next time I pull that one out, and just to work it in a little bit harder. I'm going to put a little bit of cadmium red into that blue as well. That will have the effect of dirtying it, because there's the blue and the magenta are both the same family. That's a subject all on its own. But when you put a bit of yellow, which is in the cadmium red, into it, then you dirty the mix and make a colour, what I call a coloured grey, basically. So I've mixed it up now, and I'm just going to come in and make some of these deliberate marks that come through the sun. And these are, apart from the foreground, these are really the only sort of visible detail that I'm putting into the painting. Just little deliberate marks of blue. I'm going to make the sun just pop off through there like that. Doesn't take a lot to form a cloud, does it? This brush has pretty much seen severe battle and is on its last legs in terms of keeping its shape. But it's done me very well, so I can't complain. Just a little bit through there just to break that section up there. That's it, that's fine. Probably didn't want that to go down, so just tap that back and lose that. That's good. Alright, so I'm going to go to the smaller brush just to put in the detail for the foreground, and that really is going to be quite a silhouette. So I'm going to mix some of the burnt umber with the ultramarine blue. It makes a sort of a very dull but deep green colour, and that is going to be the basis of my silhouette shapes. And I'm just going to bring it on up to the horizon to start with. I've got a little bit more reference to put into the sky at some point. But that will be the last part that we do. And just kind of bash this in as fast as I can, because I thought this was going to be a quick video and I'm sure I've been talking way too much. Okay, now a little bit more detail. So let's put some deliberate darks in that are very suggestive of, in fact that could be a little lighter through there. So let's just go back in very quickly and just make a little colour adjustment into this area here. I'm going to put in a little bit more light working back there at the base there. I think that'll be enough. Yep, I'll leave with that and move the brush out of the way. And let's carry on where we were. So lots of little taps here and there to create the illusion of trees or shrubs or whatever it might be in the distance. It doesn't really make a lot of odds. Trying to see what I'm doing actually. There's a lot of glare from these overhead lights that I'm using. They're meant to be diffused, but I think that that they could be. I'm going to put a bit of phthalo blue into that as well, just to punch that dark a little bit more. There we go. Alright. Not much happening around the sun area. And we can pick it up again for a larger tree through there, a bush or shrub or something that's there, and just break it up. A little bit warmer actually. I think that's a little bit too cold. So let's just give that some warmth. After all, it is quite close to where the sun is. And again, some of these colours could be a little warmer. around the area of the sun. Then we go back to the dark shapes again. You don't want to make them step and repeat, you want to change them, you want to make them look a bit like trees in terms of that sort of tree shape without getting too detailed into the matter. The people viewing it will make the brain will tell them what they're seeing and they will establish those as trees. I think that's fine. What I want to do though is suggest a little bit of light that's catching the grassy field. So I'm going to put a little bit of green together and I'm going to mix that with the red and just suggest that that's catching some grasses or something in the foreground. And then take that to the red. Now red and green of course obliterate each other when mixed together, and that's precisely what that's done, and I'm quite happy for that to have occurred. Now, this is a little quick study anyway, or not so quick, depending whether we are still within half an hour or whether we're on our third hour. I don't know, but it should be a quick study. Anyway, that's that part. Now for the last part. And for the last part, my students who know me will know that I use a rigger. I use a nice rigger just to put some nice highlights in. And for that I'm going to mix some lemon yellow, cadmium yellow, just to warm that through. Lots of titanium white, touch of red, just to take it to that sort of peachy colour. And I'm just going to go around some of these edges of these clouds and suggest that they are picking up some beautiful light underneath, which is obviously the setting sun. A little bit of red. I do like the rigger for this job. You can achieve it quite easily with a very nice shape of the dagger brush. You use the tip of the dagger brush, which I often do. That does serve well because it's got a great point if it's in good shape, if you've looked after it. Just a little bit of yellow into there as it goes off. And now let's look at doing the sun. This is pretty much, there's a couple of pieces up here I actually want to tap in. So I'm going to use a small dagger for that. I'm just going to put in some peachy colours and I'm just going to tap them into some of these clouds that are just picking up some lights and wonderful warm hues from the all this sun business going on down here. And a little bit of treatment. That's a little bit too light. Let's just tone that back a little bit. Worth taking time mixing your colours before you put them on. Easier to get them right on the palette than to try and change them when they're on your painting. Just tease that out the way to a nothingness. This is the little bit that I like when everything starts to come to life, as it were. Doesn't take a lot. But these paintings are sort of very fresh, very free, and born of lots of observation. You know, anybody can go out and paint one of these from life or from photos that you've taken. It just means that you do lots of practice. Just a final, in fact I'm going to put that down. I'm going to go back to the rigger. I just want to get some few extra lights in here that are missing. Take that back. And now the final bit, and that is the sun. So let's put that sun in. Coming in first off with quite a bit of yellow, and just going to give my little orb, it's going to be about there, isn't it? So I'm going to put that in, and that's got going to influence the red that's underneath it, like that. Being very careful to keep it circular. That's really quite nice. But now I'm just going to take the center, I hope, if I can get it right, and make the center burn even hotter. Yeah, I think we're pretty much on that. Just going to see if I can make the red surrounding it glow a little bit with a little bit of orange. So I'm going to use a little bit of red. I know a lot of my colour mixes are off camera. I do apologise about that. Very, very hard, especially when I'm trying to get used to all this filming, is to get everything in shot, especially on a small picture, because you tend to end up with such a small space you can't see what's going on. So it's a bit of a trade-off. Hope you understand that, and as I perfect my ways, then of course things will get a little easier in that point. Anyway, back to the plot. Let's go up with a bit of lemon yellow and a bit of cadmium red, and just make a really exciting orange to begin with, and just put that around the edge as a bit of a corona around the sun. Too much and you'll lose it, so I'm going to come back in. It doesn't want to be much, and I'm already very dangerously close to losing the shape of my sun. So I'm going to stop there, and that is it. I'm happy with it. It's a little study. It just shows you how I go about it, and I have no idea how long this is, and I don't really want to crop it. So if I've rambled, I've rambled, and if you've gone to sleep, have a nice sleep, and I'll catch you on the next one. And if you are still with me, well done. Thank you very much. I hope you've been. You're not going to believe this, but I was just winding up and getting ready to say cheerio, and this camera died. So I do apologise for that. What I was trying to say was that, and I've lost my thread, but I've enjoyed doing this anyway, and it was a quick study, and I don't know if it's a quick study or not until I review the footage. But if you are with me, you have enjoyed it, then thanks for sticking with it. And if you're a new subscriber, thanks for coming on board. If you're not a subscriber and you're watching this, please subscribe to the channel. I really am trying to make it grow, and there's a lot of hard work in doing these. I really enjoy it, and I just want to get and reach so many more people out there. So if you like what I'm doing, subscribe to the channel, add comments to it, share it, like it, do all of those things. I really would appreciate that. And furthermore, if you do want to look at any of the Patreon stuff that I'm doing, the full-time videos, the full-time narrations, all the extra stuff, it's growing. It's not tons of stuff on there like some people, but I'm adding to it all the time. And if you want to get involved, it doesn't cost you much, $5 or $10 a month, whichever you want to do. And on that score, until the next time, I'll catch you all very soon. Happy painting. Well, don't forget, if you are watching this and you've watched it all the way through to the end, you know what's in it. So why not get your paints out and have a go yourself? And you can go back, stop and start this video anytime you want to, pause it, have your own bit of it, and see how you get on. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you have a go yourself. So I'll catch you all next Friday with something new. I don't know if it's going to be an oil or a watercolour. Might even be a pastel next time. Who knows? Catch you all soon. Happy painting. Bye for now, guys. Bye-bye. And for your information, there's another video there and another video there. All the best. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye-bye for now. Bye.